Hello everyone and welcome back to the PyCalc Python classes. In this video we shall be learning a couple more things like creating a new file in Python using the ideally shell, and also creating variables in Python, casting as well as typecasting. So to create a new file of Python, go to File and then click on New File. Write some code like our previous one. Print hello world and enter, and then again go to File and Save. The Save As window will prompt and type the file name, anything. I'm just typing the name hello world. You can type any other name instead of that, in fact any name, and then click on Save. You can notice that in ideally, once we wrote the same code and press enter, the output came automatically. But in this case, no output came, and in order to run this program, we have to click on Run and then Run module, and the program will be printed. So this is the difference between ideally and creating a new file and writing code there and then running it. In ideally, once you write the code, Python executes the program line by line. But when you are writing code in a new file, Python doesn't execute that line by line. Rather, after writing the full code, you have to run that, and then the program will run automatically. And this means that it is not running line by line, rather the full code is running at one time in Python. So this is the difference between creating a new file and writing program there, and writing the code in ideally. And there are some shortcuts, like for creating a new file, you can see Ctrl N is a shortcut, and for running, the F5 function key is the shortcut there. So this is how to create a new file, and then now we shall move to creating variables. In Python, we have no command for declaring variables, but when we assign a value to a variable, it automatically gets declared. Like if we write a variable x and then assign a value of 5 to it, right? So we declare the variable x and its value is 5. And now if we just write print x, Python will print the value of x. This means x is a variable and it has been assigned a value of 5. Now if I just change its value to some name like John, it's a string, and about strings we discussed in the last video, and then print x, we get its value as John. So in this way we can overwrite the values of a variable. Like in our first case, the x was assigned, the variable x was assigned the value 5, but in the second case we just overwrite that and gave it the value of John, and it's now printing John as its value. So in this way we can overwrite as well as declare a variable in Python. Or in more specifically, once we assign a variable, once we assign a value to a variable, it automatically gets declared. This is a proper way of explaining this thing. Now we can change the data type of any variable in Python. Like for example, if you just type x equals str of 5 and then print x, notice that we have converted the value of 5 to a string here. So to convert an integer to string, we have to cast the str and then write the integer value between the opening and closing brackets. So here we assigned the value of 5 to x previously, and then we just convert it into string by giving an str and then keeping the 5 in between the brackets. So in this way the value of x is now a string, it's no longer an integer. So let's check that once, whether we are correct in our path or not. And to do this, we will use the type function. The type function tells us the data type of the variable that we have assigned a value to. So type of x currently, I'm sorry, we need to again just assign these things. X equals 5, and then print str of 5, and then print type of x. In this manner, we are just printing the type of x. So let's see. You can see it's class str. It means a string. Str is mean string. So now x falls under the class of string, and it's no longer an integer. So we just change the value of x, that's 5, to an integer, to a string, means converting a value of integer to a string using typecasting. And now we shall move to typecasting, like equals str. Well, before that, we should also introduce you to the input function. The input function takes input from the user, like what is your name. Okay. To give value to the input function, first write input, then opening brackets, and then write your question, and then closing brackets, and then press enter. So it will try to take input from you. Let's write my name, and then press enter. Now we want that x to take input from the user as a integer. So we shall do typecasting. Typecasting means changing the type of the data type, like we did here in the previous case, converting the integer to string using the str casting. So we shall write int input your age. This way it's taking input from the user, the age of me or any user, and then it will just convert it to an integer. It's wanting our age, so that's, let's say 15, and then let's check whether we are correct or not. Print type of x. Again, remember that type function denotes or prints the data type of x, that's either an integer or a string. So here's int. The int class means it's an integer. It belongs to the class of integer. So we were correct in our path. So we typecasted input with an int function there, and we can also do more typecasting, like str int and then input your age. If say it's 4, and then print type of x. It's now an str. So we just typecasted that full thing. It's input your age into a string. So now the age of 4 will be a string rather than an integer. So in this way we can typecast to multiple times, like again take an integer, typecasting, and then again a string, like that. And also the keywords are, for string class it's str, and for input class it's for an integer class it's int, as you can see here. So practice this on your own, and if you face any problems you can surely contact us in our server. And thank you for joining us.